Apparently.
He has an old school answering machine apparently too.
Yes, that was
my
really,
God, that was
great.
fantastic.
Which I guess
I'm listening to that and I'm like, I know that voice.
Yeah, it took me a second. Yeah, it took me a second. I was like, oh, that's Tony.
Yeah. Well, you would know.
I had that voice on Thursday.
Yeah, yeah, and in that same tone.
Good job, by the way. On
yeah,
that
in that same tone. Yeah, that was quite. That was quite a response.
He did not like that question at all.
He didn't, but you know what?
That's okay. He didn't answer it.
No, he answered no, he didn't, and that was because obviously they mute you after you ask the question, and my sister was in the room, and we were both listening, and at the end. When he said, but you can have whatever opinion you want, and my sister sent me a gif, and but actually before she sent me the gif, she was sitting in there, she was like, it's like that thing from Rocky Horror, and it's like, you can have you and your wrong opinion.
Yeah.
I just imagined him doing this, hitting the mute button, going,
yeah.
All right.
Probably, but listen, if you're not going to fix your women's division, you're going to continue to get these questions, and you're going to have to answer them.
I told someone that I was happy that you asked that question because I was on the call, and when I heard the parameters, I hung up, and then like you had the balls to ask that question, and that's the question I wanted to ask.
How did my tips go over for you on asking a question like that?
Well, like I said, I hung up.
No, not you. I meant him.
Oh,
I meant Sam.
Yeah, I had already. Well, this was the question that I had already planned to ask.
Okay.
I wasn't sure how I was going to word it. Like I kind of had been thinking about it, and then I was like, well, and I always try to have a backup question in case obviously somebody asks something similar, which clearly in this case nobody else was going to ask the question. But but I think you were right that, having to handle him, you can't handle him like he's your friend.
Right.
And I have, and there's somebody, Kevin Pavisi, he was my site editor at Daily DDT, and now he's over at a new site, Let Them Wrestle, that I'll be writing for soon. And he, one thing that he always brings up is billionaires are not your friends.
No.
No matter how much they seem like, I mean, we've even had, my sister and I've had that conversation about David Tepper, who was the owner of the Panthers. They're like, people are like, oh, look the way he dresses. He dresses just like us. And then we see some of the crappy things he's done last year that have been very questionable.
Yeah,
it's just a reminder: billionaires are not your friends.
that end, you can't just give them general. You have to get specific with them. And when you get into the weeds, then they'll start to squirm. And then it's like, it's like, Tony, how do you feel about your women's division? Well, we're working real hard to blah, blah, blah. It's like, hey, Tony, on last week, you had 5 minutes worth of wrestling.
Right. Yeah, and that's why I kind of framed it the way that I did. I didn't want to just frame it as, I just was like, I wanted to frame it that way first. Like Thunder Rosa, no matter what you think of her as a champion, you gave her literally a minute. Her segment fit inside of a Twitter video. It is not even on the YouTube channel because I looked the other day for an article that I wrote an article about the Thunder Rosa situation. So I could get the full, and that was another reason I wanted to get that out. I wanted to get the full quote out because Sean Ross Sapp was doing just like, the rest of us do, where you're limited to, 220 characters or whatever. And so people were only getting, a segment of what was said. And so I was like, no, I want the full thing, even though we did have to cut out the part where he started talking about MJF and Kyle O'Reilly. Not MJF, Mox and Kyle O'Reilly, because he was saying his point was that he was criticized for that too, which I actually agreed with that. Kyle O'Reilly should have been in that match because he could easily take the L and the match was good. But he was in there talking about how he's gone back and rewatched it, and he was talking about moves they did and just like rambling, which he does, but it is also like he just was not quite answering the question, it was sort of a 2-part question. And yeah, so it turned into that. And then, people can make what they want of it. A lot of people were saying that he buried Thunder Rosa. I'm not saying whether he did or he didn't, but if you read the the quotes, but if it's one thing reading it but to hear it come from his mouth is quite.
I listened and he buried her.
Yeah.
Points for honesty, but at the same time, honesty not always the best policy.
No, because and that's what I was saying. She was at the meet and greet yesterday.
But he buried her, but in a sense, the way he framed it it was almost like he was burying you by suggesting that that's what, and that's not what you were doing.
Yeah.
You know, but that's what
well, that's why I also,
made, yes.
Go
yeah.
ahead.
Like,
Go ahead.
no, he's like, what, are you an idiot? Because like, you think I do that? You know, like that's kind of the question he asked. And you didn't even say that.
No.
Like, that's,
well, and that's the thing. Like I put the question.
Yeah, that's the thing that bothered me was though when he latched onto that 8 minute, he was very focused. It was almost somebody who was angry in an argument who latches on to the thing that they heard that pissed them off in the argument.
And we've seen him do that
and then
before.
kept sort of spitting it back
many times.
And it, because that was the thing that I thought was the most interesting. I didn't realize what was going on until everything was blowing up. Because I get on my, some days I don't get on my Twitter, and then I get on it and I'm like, what have you people done?
I didn't even know about it.
It was funny because a friend of mine, he asked me, he said, well, how did you piss off Tony Khan? And I, told him, explained what happened to him. And he was like, that started because of you. I saw people talking about something yesterday about Thunder Rosa and 8 minutes. And he was like, I don't think anybody expected her to get 8 minutes. I was like, I didn't expect it. That wasn't the point. The point literally was you have two champions who are both having to give up, their titles, and you're going to have an interim experience for that in two very different ways. And so, Josiah, throw me off here, buddy. Just kidding.
I'm sorry.
This was me as soon as I heard the question. Oh, here we go.
But yeah,
this is my fault, Josiah, because
I saw it in the corner. I saw it pop up, and I lost my train of thought a little bit. But yeah, so that was an experience, and I stand by my question. He answered it how he wanted to, and he took it the wrong way and took it into this whole big thing, which was not the point. And I asked, when my other part of the question was, this match seems thrown together, when earlier, a few questions before, somebody said, how did this match come together? And he's like, well, it came together pretty quickly. Well, no shit. You put in 3 people who've been feuding for months and a former champion. Yes, you could have, if you thought about it a little bit more, but he told me he didn't have time to think about it because he found out the same day. So,
how did this match come together? Well, I wrote it on a piece of paper and I decided to be a match. That's great. That's a great answer.
I rolled my 20-sided die and I rolled a 6 and I looked at my sheet.
I have those
that's
here.
Britt Baker.
+3
I rolled a
for
9.
initiative. Here we go.
Yeah.